welcome back to Grim Advice with Gretta Myers. You've entered the grimoire with 2 M's. We won't turn some pages together because it is a really short one. Really short, like that short, that's it. In case you were wondering, this is my good friend Ted, who is just kind of sitting here, and that's okay. Everybody needs sometimes a good inanimate object friendly inanimate object thing in their life. And that is okay. Okay. Alright, any other fun announcements? Because I have the ability to do those right now because it is really short. Oh, just that with school picking back up and stuff, I might not be able to do the Monday through Friday thing as well as I'd like. Mondays are especially hard, as we saw yesterday. Monday. I'm losing track of the days already. So just be kind to me. Because I'm trying to be kind to myself. Like we all should. Look at me, looking at you. Honestly. So yeah, just a warning that I will do my best to get 5 videos out a week. But sometimes that might not happen. And I'm like, it pains me to have to say this. But it might not happen. Yeah. Alright. Without further ado. The Willful Child. Once upon a time, there was a child who was willful and would not do as her mother wished. For this reason, God had no pleasure in her and let her become ill, and no doctor could do her any good, and in a short time she lay on her deathbed. When she had been lowered into her grave, the earth was spread over her. All at once her arm came out again, and stretched upwards, and when they had put it in, and spread fresh earth over it, it was all to no purpose, for the arm always came out again. Then the mother herself was obliged to go to the grave, and strike the arm with a rod, and when she had done that, it was drawn in, and then at last the child had rest beneath the ground. I'm sorry, what the heck? What the heck? Did I read that right? I'm sorry? I really don't know what to say here. First off, they'd be digging a really shallow grave. Oh, my nose is itchy. They'd be digging a real shallow grave if this kid's arm is coming up and they can see it. That is not 6 feet under. And obviously they're not using a coffin. I mean, okay, this is, what, Germany in the 1700s, 1600s, 1800s, I don't know. It's Germany in the long time ago. So I guess that makes sense. But still, like, I'm honestly quite flabbergasted at the turn of events. Goodness. Like, seriously, a really shallow grave, because it said, yeah, it's a child. Which, all things considered, in other stories we've read, it's heavily implied that the women, the daughters, the princesses in most of the stories are really young by today's standards, like 16-ish, some of them. So if they're calling it a child, it's not a baby. So this child is probably about anywhere from the age of 4 to about 10, I'd say. I'd say that's about the age range we're looking at. I mean, don't quote me on anything. But, and so they're, my point is, their arms are not very long. So it's a really shallow grave. This story, man. You'd think that for such a short story, it would not have been this. Whatever this is, would not have been that. But yet, here we are with this. Okay. I'm gonna do something different this video that I don't normally do, because normally I'm like, oh, here's this aspect. Let's take a lesson from it. And today, the video is essentially me being, don't. This is bad. This is bad. Okay. I'm not even gonna get into the religious aspect of that. I'm not even gonna touch that. Let's just... Because even that, I'm looking at it, I'm like, what? No! That's ridiculous! What? What? Okay. So let's take the religious aspect out of it for a minute. Let's pretend it's just a father who's like, well, I don't like this child, so I'm gonna let it do stupid things, and then if it dies, it dies, and that's it. That's gonna be fine. It's whatever. It's no longer my problem. I don't like this kid, so I'm gonna just let it die. 'Cause seriously, like, 'cause I mean, God rules heaven, so like, are they insinuating? 'Cause he's like, yep, I'm gonna let her die. Nope, we're not touching it. It's too. So let's just say it's like that. The idea behind the story is that because this child was not good enough, everyone gave up on this child and was like, you know what? This child's a lost cause. And even if this child is trying to actively improve, we are going to beat it down. No! Like, what the heck? Like, this child is like, no, please let me live. You know, just actively trying to, like, get out of the grave. And they're like, okay, Mom, can you come and beat this child back into the grave? Please? And the mom's like, yeah, sure. No! You know, I try to work in dialectics. I really do. So here's what I'm gonna do my best to be dialectic in this one. On the one hand, yes, it can be really frustrating when the child is so willful that you're just like, I'm done. I mean, yeah, you understand the desire to just be like, okay, I give up. It's whatever, it's out of my hands. Like, the desire is understandable. To an extent. And in some situations, like, you try and you try and you try, you push and you push and you try to fix it. It just doesn't work. And then you're like, okay, I need to give up. Like, especially some relationships, friendships, workplace environments. Sometimes it's okay to just be like, okay, that's it. I'm done. I'm letting go. Moving on. Whatever. But with a child? No. No. I'm gonna come out and say, I'm gonna actually have a strong opinion on this one. No. Mm-mm. You do not get to do that with a child. As tempting as it might be, there are some children that, it's hard. It's really hard to be kind and loving and gentle and understanding and fair. Because they're not being fair to you. So it's certainly understandable. And yet, once you label that child and make it feel like, once you put that kid in a box, essentially, and you're like, you're a troublemaker, you're a problem, they're gonna be that way the rest of their life. Pretty much. And even if they actively try to change, do you know how hard it is once you have that reputation as a child to change? Do you know how hard it is once you're reaching out of the grave? And you're like, please let me live, I want to change, I want to be better. But people just keep putting you back in because you're like, you're a troublemaker, you're a problem. You can't be better. There's a lot of social scientific evidence that the child's first, especially the first 4 years, but especially, the first 8 years of their life shape the entire rest of the future. So, childhood bullying. Parents just kind of being like, whatever, doesn't matter, I can't deal with this, so I'm just gonna give up and be like, you're a problem. It's just everything that happens pretty much within the first 8 years of your life will continue to affect you pretty much the rest of your life, unless you have to actively try and fix whatever happens in those first 8 years of your life. So I am not by any means saying that kids are not difficult to handle. Especially, there are some kids that it's really hard. What I'm saying is, it really, yes, there are some kids that are more temperamental. Whatever. And you have to deal with it. And you still have to deal with it. And wouldn't you prefer to deal with it as best as you can and as kindly and as fairly as you can within their first 8 years of their life? Within their first 8 years of their life, and so then, honestly, they will probably get better if you do that. If you are like, okay, I still need it, because they are a person, no matter how small, a person's a person, no matter how small or temperamental or annoying. And children are so important, you gotta be so careful with them. You have to deal with it. That's what I'm saying. It doesn't matter if you're their parent, their teacher, just some random stranger in a store. You don't know, as an adult or even as an older child, how you might affect those the little kids. They're little kids. You can't just give up on it. Man, I thought this was gonna be a short video, but no, it's gonna be hard, yeah. But I think we can all say those kids deserve it. Like, I don't care how badly you dislike kids. I don't care how badly you dislike a specific kid. I don't care. You do not have the right to treat them poorly because of it. You don't. Because most of the time, yes, there are kids who know exactly what they're doing, and they will totally take advantage of that. But even then, where did they get that behavior from? And honestly, the more you are mean to that kind of behavior, the worse it becomes. So really, just treat kids nicely. Goodness. I could just continue to yell at the camera at this point because this really frustrates me. But it is not your place to decide if that child deserves forgiveness and the ability to change, if they deserve fair treatment. The answer is they do. Treat kids kindly. That's what I'm saying. Alright, my gremlins. Thank you for joining us for the happily ever after, or not so happily ever after. That's it for you to decide. And what you decide is valid. Because you're valid. You are. Either way, this is the end for this episode, so tune in later and we can learn more and turn new pages together.